Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. This is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video, I'm going to summarize a very interesting story, The Face on the Wall, written by E.V.Lucas, the famous English humorist, essayist, playwright, biographer, publisher, poet, novelist. And this story is in the syllabus of second semester B.Sc, General English under Bangalore University. So, The Face on the Wall is a short story written by E.V. Lucas, a British writer. The story is about a man who sees a face on the wall of his room. He becomes very curious and tries to find out who the person is. After long search, he finds someone who looks exactly like the face he has. But something strange happens after that. The story ends with a surprise that makes the readers think about what is real and what is not real. The story begins. The story begins at a small gathering at someone's house, and the house is here Dabney's house. A group of people is sitting around and they're talking about some strange or some supernatural elements or the events they have experienced or heard about. So Dabney's house, at Dabney's house, small gathering is happening, and people are discussing about some strange events, some strange experiences, or the supernatural experiences. Among the group, there's a very little quiet man with a pale face who has been listening, but he has said nothing. Finally, Dabney invites him to share a story. Now he's invited. Now you have to say. The man says he doesn't have a second-hand story. He says that I'm not going to tell some borrowed story here, but he can share something true that happened to him personally, and it just finished only that afternoon. So he says that I'm not going to share some second-hand story. I'll talk about a story which has happened to me and that has happened to on that particular afternoon. So this man starts describing the story. The man starts his story saying, a year or 2 years ago, he lived in an old house on Great Ormond Street in London. The walls in his room were damp and it had many patches. One patch on the wall looked exactly like a human face. Over the time, he began to feel like this face was his companion or his roommate's face, while the other patches changed the shape and this face always stayed the same. Means to say the patch which had the description like like the human being or his face similar to his face remained same. Other patches they changed their shape. Now he got very sick with the flu and he had to stay in bed for a long time. He spent many days just looking at the face. It started to seem more and more real, more and more real. The face was of a man and had a strong features. It filled his thoughts all the time. All the time he used to think about this face. Even after he recovered, he could not stop thinking about this face. He became obsessed with the finding the real man whose face is what it was. He started searching for the man all over London, watching people on the streets, at the train stations, football matches, etc. Everywhere he's searching the person who has that kind of similar face, which he could see from the patches on the wall. One day he saw a man in a taxi who looked exactly like the face on his wall. He followed the taxi to the train station, found out the man was going to France. The narrator followed him to Folkestone, then got the same boat to to Boulogne, we can say Boulogne in France, that place, Boulogne in France. On the boat, the man finally came out of his private cabin with a little girl. The narrator gathered his courage and he asked for his business card. The narrator asked him, could you please give me a business card? The man, confused, but polite, he gave his business card to this person. The business card read Mr. Ormond Wall, Pittsburgh, USA. The narrator was shocked. The name Ormond Wall reminded him of Great Ormond Street where he had seen the face. He felt faint and confused, and the next thing he remembered was being in Bolgon or Bulgin, where he stayed for some time to recover. Now, a month later, he returned to Great Ormond Street and tried to learn more about that Mr. Wall. He found out that the wall, he found out that that particular person was a rich American millionaire but couldn't find his London address. Then something strange happened. What happened? One morning he woke up and saw that the face on the wall had faded. Now he cannot see the same face which was earlier could be seen on the wall. Later that day he saw a newspaper headline, American millionaire's motor accident. It said Mr. Ormond Wall had been in a serious car crash and was badly hurt. As the narrator sat in his room, he watched the face completely disappear from the wall. He later learned that Mr. Wall died at the same time when the face vanished from the wall. The listeners at the party are amazed by this strange story. The narrator then says that there are three amazing things about this story. Number one, he lists only two. First, that a face could appear on a wall in London and look exactly like a man in America. The face on the wall in London was similar to the face which he could see, the man he could see in America. Second, the man's name, Ormond Wall, had a strange connection to the street the narrator was living in. That is a Great Ormond Street. The narrator is living in which street? Great Ormond Street. So these are the two amazing things he speaks about. Then everyone was waiting for the third important thing, which he should say. And the third final thing is here. As he opens the door, he says, as he opens the door to leave, someone reminds him, you said there were three extraordinary things. What's the third one? Because he said, I will tell you the two things. I'm sorry. I'll tell you the two things. One, the street, and one, the face. What's the third thing? Everybody's asking. The man turns and he says, oh, the third extraordinary thing about the story is that I made it up about half an hour ago. Good night again. I made it up about half an hour ago. Just before half an hour, all these things had happened to me. This is the third important thing. And then he walks out, leaving everyone in shock. So to sum up, what we can say about the story plays our expectations of a ghost story or a supernatural mystery. It feels very real, very emotional, but in the end, it turns out to be completely fictional or maybe told just to impress or entertain because he says that just before half an hour, I have cooked this story. It's a story about storytelling. How believable a lie can sound when it is told in a very efficient manner. So this is how the story, The Face in the Wall, ends. So friends, I have tried my best to summarize the story, and this is in the syllabus of second semester B.Sc General English. Subscribe the channel, like the video, comment on this video, or any questions, you can reach me at mukeshenglish@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned with Mukesh English.